relying on motivation is a bad strategy. One, like I said, it's emotional and life is not emotional. It doesn't care, if you haven't slept or if, you had a family member pass away or etc. It's like, okay, but you still got to do your thing. I'm sorry you're not motivated. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to another episode of the Coach Cody Podcast. So we're going to continue on our New Year's series, setting goals that are actually attainable and not without burning yourself out or overwhelming yourself, and making progress towards those goals instead of just hitting the new year next year and thinking, all right, let's try this again, or just writing off goals altogether because you haven't been able to accomplish what you set out to do. So we're going to try to end that cycle for you this year. And before we dive into all of that, though, Des, how's it going? What's new? How's life?
Oh, lovely. What's new? Nothing. Just, everyday chaos of living in this country. Like every day there's something, right? So I don't know what to say, but just getting through the week, hoping nobody else gets shot this week. I don't know.
Yeah.
Trying to manage the stress of all that and like staying off the internet as much as I can. Pretty much every day this week I've been like, hey, what's going on Twitter or X or Threads? Because I haven't been looking, and you haven't been much either, which is probably for the best for both of us because we've been busy and distracted. But
it's hard not to get distracted by it or just continue living your life as normal, like nothing is happening.
Right.
It's confusing as to like how do we navigate it all, and it's last episode we recorded, we had just heard about the shooting and we weren't sure on the details yet. Obviously we know a lot more now. I feel like it only takes a few days to really know basically everything, different camera angles and the timeline we live in. So now we know more about that guy and everything that's going on, and I know there's tension politically, both sides, not even with each other, like not left versus right. There's also like infighting on the right, and it's been interesting. And you don't really have the words to say, I think, just like how to cope with what's going on and also how to like protect your mental health without being completely naive to what is happening, not be complacent and all that. And it can be a hard line to walk and balance. So I think we're kind of still figuring that out.
Yeah, it's tough when, we were on our walk the other day and we were like talking about everything happening, and it's like, and then among all of this, we're like just having to go through life as if nothing's happening and like keep moving and keep working and keep being productive and keep making money and keep surviving the shitty economy and like, like being good, being good parents and partners, and like, it's a lot. It's a lot for everybody. So, hang in there, people.
Yeah, we will get through it one day at a time.
That's right.
But I guess the upside is with fitness and, looking to reach goals, it at least gives you something to focus on that is outside of the outside world chaos. But, as we've talked about before, it can leak in. So it's important to plan strategically for when that does happen so that you don't just fall off completely and, just be like, what? I think goals aren't really for me. So goals are for everybody, regardless if you want to think they are or not. So should we kind of,
unless you're a perfect human, you should probably have goals, because we're constantly improving and like trying to do better in our lives for ourselves, for our partners and kids and families. So it's important.
And I feel like too, maybe, someone, if you're someone like me who maybe makes too many goals or is in this place where you don't want to make too many goals because you don't want to overwhelm yourself, and you need to like stick to one or two and make sure you're not pushing yourself further into a hole of burnout or something like that. So it's like, whether you're new to making goals and you're just like, how do I actually move forward and accomplish them? Or maybe you overextend yourself. So you're wondering, how can I still move forward, but not continue to overextend myself? And I was just talking to you because I've been trying to, get myself in a groove, but not just the old groove of just hustle, 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 no fun, no breaks, no time for life. And it's been a trial and error process, and I'm trying something else out new. And I don't know if
tell us about it.
All right. Yeah. So, I'm always a very goal-oriented person, and I'm very like hard on myself, and I tend to be very rigid and strict. And it's, I've been trying to basically get my shit together and get back to that, like the rigidity and the discipline and all that. And I'm realizing that that is only causing more trouble in my current situation, because I'm, low energy, outside of burnout, just low energy, pain, all that stuff. And so I'm having to pivot, and I'm having to do things differently. And that's kind of become my theme for this year. Usually I pick a theme when it comes to the new year, whether it's fuck it mode or, courage, caring less what people think. And it's just like, how many fucking New Years have I done something related to that? And this year it just kind of fell in my lap. I didn't think of a theme.
It chose you.
It did. It's just something I've been telling myself every time I feel myself trying to be a perfectionist about something, or every time I either don't get something done. My previous instinct would be to like try to make up for it the next day, like times 100, or, really try to give myself more rules or more tasks. And it was almost like I was just continually punishing myself, essentially. So one thing that I'm doing this year, when something doesn't go as I would have hoped, I tell myself like, hey, we're doing things different this year. Remember, like we're doing things different because things haven't been working. So for example, how I made the goal of journaling every day this year. So I missed a day, the 26th. And I remember I was walking the dog in the morning, and then I was like, fuck, because I remembered that I forgot to journal. And then my mind just started racing, and I was just like, God damn it. That was like my one goal I was hoping to fulfill for this year. And so I was just trying to think of like, how do I do this now? Like I missed a day. I don't get to say I journaled every day in 2026. And then I remembered why I even wanted to do that in the first place. And I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm doing things differently this year. So I'm not going to let that stop me from continuing on to try to journal for the rest of the year, and just missing one day. And hey, it might happen again. But the reason I made that goal was not just so I could say I journaled every day in 2026.
Like,
I made that goal for a reason. I made it to help me process things better, help me, really know or understand what is going on, so I can look back on it in the future and see how far I've come, or, just a way to process and work towards things and brain dump, reduce my anxiety, reduce stress, notice patterns and stuff like that. Yeah. So that is the goal of the journaling situation. So I'm kind of like, I tend to lose the real meaning behind the goal with just wanting to check off a box. Yeah. And so that was where I was like, yeah, fuck it. We're doing things way different. I'm not going to care. I'm going to keep going, because I know that the real benefit is if I keep going, not being like, sweet. So I'm going to feel better. I feel like if I get to the end of the year, even if I forgot 10 times, I want to remember that I kept doing it anyways. And I didn't just focus on being perfect. So
I I think
Yeah.
that's really very, very valid. And if you think about it, like missing one day, we're on the 29th of January, missing one day out of like 30 or 31, I don't know how many days are in January. That's really not bad, you know? And it's like,
Yeah.
it's a practice of being enough, right?
Yeah. And then it also helped me like kind of reschedule, restructure my day to make sure I prioritize that because,
That's good.
if I don't do it in the morning, there's more likelihood you're going to forget or skip it, just like working
Absolutely.
out.
Yeah.
So I have made it so I prioritize it to like my morning schedule so that it hopefully doesn't happen again. But life.
Yeah.
Uh, but that all being said, while I was journaling yesterday, I was just realizing every time I try to give myself a set schedule, this wasn't always the case, but specifically in these moments, it was something that worked for me in the past. And I've found it's been it has not been working for me. And I only frustrate myself more. And then I get in this spiral like, I'm never going to get back to where I need to be if I can't do this. You're like, what is wrong with me? And it's like, well, my nervous system is fucked. That is what is wrong with me. My head is screaming like, we need safety and relief. And then the other part of my head is just like, fuck you, you little bitch ass pussy. Like,
Oh my God.
like get your shit together and stop making excuses for yourself. So that's where I go in. No, we're doing things different this year.
Right? This year, you're really redefining what get your shit together means. Does that mean
Yeah.
perfection or does that mean like functioning, working on controlling your maybe not controlling your anxiety, but regulating your nervous system, dealing with stress in a healthy way, and like trying not to burn yourself even more the fuck out, So
Yeah.
I think you're on a good track.
Yeah. And I think I've had, every year I've kind of had this facade of doing something differently, or at least the last couple years, but it wasn't for real because I wasn't doing anything differently. I was just putting myself in the same pattern of pushing myself harder, like if I could. And that's not gonna work anymore.
No.
So I had a little chat with like ChatGPT and had it help me kind of organize a structure to my day without stressing me out, essentially. So it's very different. Basically I have like 3 blocks in a day, right? So phase 1 or step 1 is like my stabilizing block. And that's where I just kind of ground myself in the morning. I allow myself to start slow, no scrolling, no work. Basically, it's just breakfast and then light reading, nothing that's like social media or whatever. So it could be Substack stuff, unless it's like super too political. But I have people on Substack I follow that's just like blogs essentially.
Right.
So like some light reading and then journaling. And that's my stabilization phase for the day. So it kind of grounds you, gets you ready for the day, gets rid of some of that bullshit because you've journaled and all that. And then there's the second phase. And that's where I pick one thing, like one real thing that I need to do as priority that day. And I set a timer and I get that done. But I only do that if I have, a few things I need to get done. Basically, I do that down, the line. So start with 1, don't do anything but that. No scrolling, nothing like that. Until those tasks are complete. But I'm trying to keep it to like no more than 3.
Because it gets overwhelming otherwise. You're
right.
like, I'm never going to get all this done.
Exactly. So picking those like 3 goals that are priority for that day and then kind of moving through them, but also incorporating breaks as needed between tasks. Like maybe get up for 10 minutes and take a walk between that task and then choose the next one. And then the last phase for the day is recovery. So this is where I allow myself to do something that recharges me, whether that is doom scrolling, but put a time limit on it. Reading or riding or riding my skateboard or just basically anything that makes me feel good and recharged. So that is my new structure that I'm going to give a try to see how it goes.
I like
Very
it.
different because normally I like to be that person who's like right on task with things of like this is what I do at this time. This is when I hit the gym. This is XYZ. And the gym is also in that recovery part, by the way. I forgot to mention that. But also, yeah, so it's something very, very different. It's a loose structure, and I'll report back and tell you how it goes. I have not tried something like this. So yeah.
I think it's a smart plan.
It's just, I've never actually prioritized myself, like my mental health and doing things. And I know we were talking yesterday where it's like, I realized that I'm not allowing myself to do things I enjoy unless I get my shit together or unless I get everything else done first, or I'm more efficient until I'm more efficient. And that's just not happening because I'm not allowing myself a break. So my brain just basically, my whole day consists of me forcing myself to do things and then not allowing myself to do anything that I actually enjoy. And
thus continuing the cycle of burnout.
Exactly. So we're flipping it. I'm trying to flip it and like,
I like it.
Make sure that I am prioritizing to doing things that I enjoy. And I think down the road, it's going to just lighten things up in general and hopefully give me more capacity to be more efficient elsewhere. So that was the update no one asked for, but
it's good. I think it's good for all of us to hear. I struggle with burnout too. So, believing that you're only allowed to enjoy yourself if you're productive, and if you've earned it, is like total bullshit, right? Yeah. But when when that's just kind of the way your brain is wired, it's hard to unwire that. So it's something a lot of us, especially our age group, has to relearn that that's productivity does not equal worth, and that you're worthy of good and joy and peace and rest, no matter what you've accomplished that day, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And as they say, rest is productive. So
100%.
Yeah.
That's my biggest lesson right now too. This is allowing rest.
Hopefully we can both try to learn together and live our lives, because I realized I wasn't really, days just pass you by. And so I'm just trying something new, seeing where it goes, kind of trying to go with the flow. And I think part of that too is I've had to take the pressure off myself when pertaining to bodybuilding, because of my back situation and not being able to really do the things that I want to do. And so I've had to shift my mindset and perspective a lot, even solely based off of that. And, there's those times where you wonder, am I ever going to be able to compete again? What is bodybuilding going to look like for me from here on out? And it's just this big unknown, because, I'm still waiting on cortisone shot, or I'm waiting to see what's going on, if there's still infection or... and so the wait and see is painful.
Oh my gosh.
Physically and emotionally, and definitely makes you kind of rethink things, and you're like, what direction am I going with this? And there's definitely an identity crisis, but at the same time, there's this excitement of, this could mean that could end up being good. I don't know. So this year is doing it differently, and I'm allowing myself to explore and just figure it out as I go. So
I like it. I think you're doing a good job.
We'll see how it goes. I've been also it's funny with all this stuff, because I think I'm like, oh, I should start. I'll do vlogs again and stuff like that. And then it's like, dude, what is your problem? You cannot
what are you doing?
Every little thing. I'm like, yeah, I'm burned out. Oh, I'm going to start doing this again and smack myself.
I think it's because
face.
You want to do creative things.
I do.
You want to, your brain is craving that creativity. I've seen your passion for food come back quite a bit lately, which is awesome. And your brain is like, I want to do this, but your brain likes to go straight to we're going to do this. Balls to the wall. So you have to control yourself and remember that you're still burned out. You can still have fun, but you just can't make it a profession right now.
Right. It's I'm just intense, and I have to try to slow my brain down when I'm just I get so hyper focused on something, and then I just want to like dive in. But yeah, it's been good. I feel like when with food and cooking, it's always been there when I needed it. It kind of has been like a lifesaver, and I think it's making its way back into my life at a time where I need it, and I need to be creative, and it's something that I can like give to other people. And so I'm excited to see how that develops, because that used to be more my thing, something that made its way into my life and my content much more. But then the bodybuilding, intensity obsession, doubled down times like 2000. And I was following this like really shitty meal plan from the coach I had at the time. Meal plans were the only option. He didn't do macros.
Yeah.
And so that really fucked up with, the creative part. And I'm just ready to get back into that. And so for anyone listening who's been an OG listener, there's more food stuff coming.
Hell yeah. It's exciting.
Yeah. Sorry, that was a very long-winded intro. But yeah. Anything else you would like to share, and any like revelations of this year so far, since setting your goals and finding things that work for you that don't, or things you want to change or redefine, or any themes that have popped up for you accidentally?
I think this year the two themes that are really popping up for me are getting comfortable with the unknown. Just knowing exactly what's going to happen, when it's going to happen, how it's going to happen, and then tries to do everything I possibly can to make it happen. And I am realizing, going through the things that we're going through, that is not a way to live. And there is actually so little that I even remotely have control over. And so really the theme is concentrating on the things I can control, so that I don't get so overwhelmed that I just hide in bed and do nothing or stress myself and my family the fuck out.
Yeah.
And, we have so much going on, and it's just like, it's a lot. And I feel like I get overwhelmed so often that I'm like, okay, I have to work on this, So that's a big one. And then the allowing rest. The allowing rest and like not overcommitting, not over just being on the go all the time, because I feel like I have to be productive, or I have to do things for everyone, and I can't say no, stuff like that. So those are kind of my two things that I'm like realizing are very important for my mental health and for the well-being of my family. And I'm realizing that like my kids, especially now, they see everything. They see the way I live and the way I talk. And they are going to, those actions and words are going to ingrain themselves in their brains, right? And they learn a lot from me and you. And so I want to make sure that I'm modeling like healthy behaviors for them. I'd never realized that until I think you actually kind of brought it up, was like, they hear everything. And they're learning the way you talk to yourself is the way they're going to talk to themselves, And so that's like a big one for me, is like, I want to model the fact that self-care matters and that rest matters. And so that's kind of what I'm focusing on right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, those are all good areas of focus.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think you're on the right path.
Thanks.
But, so on that note, should we go into our topic for the day, for the podcast? So this is gonna fall in line again, but there's gonna be some overlap with some of these episodes. But it's very important. All of these points are important to keep hammering home, because these are the biggest mistakes when it comes to making goals or not achieving your goals. So in this episode, basically, I just want to emphasize the importance of not relying on motivation, and, how consistency, how you stay consistent is basically by design. Your planning, your environment, that sort of thing. So consistency does not come from being motivated. If we relied on motivation, we would never get anything accomplished, because it is fleeting, unfortunately. So yeah, we're just basically gonna tell you how to build goals that don't depend on your willpower, because willpower is limited. And when shit hits the fan,
So first thing out the
willpower goes
window.
down the drain. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
So can't rely on that either. We don't have just infinite amounts of willpower. So here's why like relying on motivation is a bad strategy. One, like I said, it's emotional, and life is not emotional. It doesn't care, if you haven't slept, or if, you had a family member pass away, or etc. Like, it's like, okay, but you still got to do your thing. I'm sorry you're not motivated. But so motivation can fluctuate with things like sleep, stress, pain, all the things that I'm feeling right now, mental health, and life events. And, if your plan only works when you feel like it and when you're motivated, it's a very fragile plan. So the goal is to not feel motivated. It's to need motivation less. And I know for the past 2 years, I feel like I've just been running on no motivation, and it is extremely difficult. But that's what happens when life keeps throwing shit at you. And that's how you got to kind of at least get bare minimum things in line so that you can stay at least minimally consistent. So just for a little analogy for you, motivation it's kind of like caffeine. So it's helpful sometimes at first, but eventually your body gets used to it and it doesn't have the same effects. So you just keep needing more, but then you're going to have a heart attack. So, chill. Again, I always say when motivation is there, enjoy it, ride that wave, have fun, but don't expect it to stick around. And your environment is going to be what is a huge factor in staying consistent. So should we go over environment now?
Yeah.
All right. So your environment, it determines your behavior, essentially. So what is visible, easy, and, default, it's what you do most often according to your environment. So your training could depend on that, your nutrition, sleep, scrolling, your stress habits. So, for example, if you can't stop eating Oreos and you just keep them in your house and you're wondering why you can't stop eating them, well, like your environment is making it really hard for you to stop eating them because, again, willpower is not finite, like not infinite. It's like we don't have infinite amounts of willpower. So stop doing that to yourself. Like, would you do that to a friend if they were trying to stop eating something? Would you be like, can you hold these for me? Like, don't do that to yourself.
No.
So other examples of creating a better environment would be like, keeping your gym clothes laid out the day before instead of buried in a drawer somewhere, or, having them dirty. So then you're like, shit, there's some resistance right there. Other examples of environment would be, so maybe you don't want to scroll your phone before bed, leaving it outside your room, charging it somewhere it's not within reach. So that's going to help you out. It's going to make that goal easier because you're adjusting your environment. Or like having protein ready versus needing to cook something last minute. So meal prepping, essentially. These are all things
a huge
that,
one.
Have to do with planning and, making the overall goal. You're making it easier on yourself to make the right choices. So when your environment's working against you, it's not even like a discipline problem. It's an environment problem. So yeah. One thing that we tend to do as well is we tend to add rules onto our goals, versus just removing friction. So that's where environment comes in handy. You're removing friction in order to complete those goals. Like we mentioned, laying your gym clothes out, making sure they're washed and ready, or making sure you have protein cooked off. So just a reframe for you all who are making goals. So when you're making goals, a lot of times people like to add rules. So the rules are working out 5 days a week, or no sugar, or wake up at 5 a.m. So these require constant decision making, and it can potentially drain your energy. So instead of adding those rules, what you could do is remove friction from the habits you want. So, and add friction to the habits you don't want. So that could also be helpful. So if you don't want, or maybe you have Oreos in the house, but you put them somewhere and you lock them up and make it really hard to get to, that's going to be adding friction in the habit you don't want. The best one, just don't have them in the house.
Just don't have them.
So examples for fitness, pre-decided workout days, same gym time each week, shorter workouts instead of skipping. For nutrition, just like default meals that you've already prepped and planned and are ready to go. Maybe you're doing repeat breakfast to make it easier on yourself. Protein first rule instead of macro perfection. I know that sounds weird because we're making real still, but so for life, fewer choices, are better. Not more options. Like more options might seem like the better way to go, but and having a routine that kind of keeps you consistent. And routines are gonna keep you moving over motivation. So consistency improves when thinking decreases. So that's
It's true. Because it's,
less. The less you have to
thinking
think about
is
it, the better.
exhausting. We think a lot, right? And so the more you're thinking, the more tired you are, the less motivation you have.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. And it's like all the things that you do right now, kind of by default, you don't really think about them, right? You just do it because you've been doing it for however long. And that's basically the goal of what we want to do with our routine that, is going to get us closer to our goal, like with our habits, building new habits that you don't think about. So why fewer decisions equals more consistency. So we did talk about this a bit previously already. But it's that decision fatigue, right? So when your nervous system is fucked already, and then you have all these decisions, it's not fun. And
so hard.
every decision you have to make just drains more out of you. And the more decisions you have, the more likely you're going to make a not so great decision by the end of the day, especially if you're already stressed. So every extra choice is a tax. So consistent people, they're not more disciplined. They just decide less in real time and they don't think about it as much because they're just ready to go. They got it. They got it all planned out. So examples to kind of make things easier. If you're meal prepping, it is okay to have some repetitiveness throughout the meals. Doesn't mean you have to eat absolutely everything the same, but if you have like 2 to 3 meal choices throughout the week, that's going to be helpful because you're not thinking about it as much. But so you've got same meals, maybe same grocery list, same workout split, same bedtime routine. Obviously, these things will change eventually, but you get what I mean. Like you have that planned, you have those meals prepped. And I mean, when it comes to meal prep, there's only so many things you can do. So maybe have this rotating menu. So maybe
we do that.
Yeah. Every 3 weeks or whatever, you switch it up, however you want to do it. But it's like, if you're already feeling overwhelmed, more options are not what you need. So
because overthinking, when you're overwhelmed, overthinking is like pretty much automatic.
Yeah. And then you just get overstimulated by your own thoughts and it's just a disaster waiting to happen. But so again, we also talked about this, but making a minimum effective day effort, which previously was the plan B, right? What can you do even when life throws shit at you? So it's back to those survival versus outcome goals. So just know, some days are not meant to be max effort. So that's why it's not just okay, but it's a good idea to build days that, minimum days that you're like, this is the minimum I'm going to do to just keep my momentum going. And then it'll help you stay consistent as well. So you're just always wanting to stay in motion in some way, shape, or form. So examples, 20-minute workout instead of just skipping altogether. It's like, shit, I can't get my hour or 2-hour workout. All I can do is 20 minutes. So then cool, do those 20 minutes. That way it'll keep the momentum going. You still did it.
Something's better than nothing, right?
Yeah. Or walking instead of training. I do that a lot. If there's days where either it's like I'm tired, didn't sleep well, back pain, whatever. It's like, make sure at least get those steps in and then call it good. So the worst thing you can do on a bad day is just quit entirely. So know that. All right. So some actionable takeaways for you all. These are things that need to feel doable immediately. So do one thing this week. All right, pick one habit and remove the friction point. Examples. So lay out gym clothes the night before. Decide workout days ahead of time. Pick one default breakfast. Very important, because if the first thing you're thinking about, like, what the fuck do I eat for breakfast? You already lost that day.
Story of my life.
Like, at bare minimum, always know what you're going to eat for breakfast the next day.
Yeah.
All right. Put your phone charger outside of the bedroom if you're trying not to scroll at night. But if you need it for your alarm, put it somewhere, but like
across the room.
Yeah. Or you can get a real alarm, like the old school ones
that's true.
We had before phones existed. So make the good choice the easy choice. So yeah.
I like that.
Make sure it's not a full overhaul. One friction removal move, and this week only. And so that's your homework. That's your actionable takeaways. But
let us know how it goes.
Yeah. Is there anything in particular you feel like you want to remove, or any friction that you've noticed in your life this week?
Man, I actually didn't do a good job of having breakfast stuff on hand. So I kind of struggled with that. And so I was like, I got to go to the store and get this shit because I can't do this every day, So,
yeah.
Because when you start out like that, it's just rough. It's really rough.
It's like that first thing in the day. So you gotta make sure to start that day off strong, so that the rest of the day you're not just like, oh my gosh, I'm already tired.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good example though. No, I'm trying to think of like friction for me. I think definitely my phone when I first wake up, because it's a distraction. It'll just get my brain like ping-ponging around. So not scrolling until after my stabilizing phase is my goal.
I think that's really, I think I should do that too. Like we should all do that. That's really a very good one.
Yeah, because it's hard when you wake up the first thing and your anxiety just starts going because of everything that's happening. So
yeah, it's too much.
It's okay to push that back. You don't need to know what's going on the minute you wake up. So yeah. So consistency isn't about trying harder. It's about designing a life that supports you, supports your goals. It's something you can actually accomplish and stick to long term. So if you're overloaded and you're overwhelmed, chances are you need to dial things back, maybe reevaluate things, maybe just pick one thing, start a little bit smaller. But yeah, so
quality over quantity, right? Exactly.
Any last words or anything you'd like to add before we wrap it up?
No, I think it's just it's just a reminder that just because you can't do everything you want to do doesn't mean you're lazy or you're a failure or like you're not enough. Like, really, Alexa? It's okay if you can't do it all. You don't have to do it all. Do what you can, and as long as you're making an effort, I think that's really what matters.
Yeah. So, design those plans so that you're not having to constantly make decisions, or you're not having to rely on willpower motivation. And the less friction, the better. All right. Thank you all so much for listening. I know Des has a call to get on, but hey, if you need any help making a design or, making a plan towards your goals, I'm taking on new clients. So if you would like to apply to work with me, make sure to go to my website, fill out an application at www.codyharmon.com, and I will get back to you via email, and we can chat about your goals and etc. But until next time, peace out. Bye.
Bye.